Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Monday, September the 9th regular council meeting. I have a couple amendments to the agenda. We will add 8A and 8B. 8A will be the fees and charges amendment bylaw number 1461. And item B will be the District of Hope 2020-2024 permissive tax exemption bylaw number 1462 that we just covered off in our committee of the whole. And the amendment to the last one there, which
1463.
Yeah, 1463. Thank you. Everybody heard that?
Yep.
Forgot about that one for my own agenda. So the motion would read that September the 9th, 2019 regular meeting agenda be amended as presented. Moved and second. Thank you. All those in favor, opposed, carried. The regular meeting adoption of the minutes, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held August 26, 2019 be adopted as presented.
Move adoption.
Move adoption. Second. Thank you. All those in favor, opposed, carried. We have a delegation tonight, and from the Hope Active Response Table, and I'd like to ask Lee Ball to come up, please. Please introduce your
Absolutely.
sidekick.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say, first of all, thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy meeting to accommodate us and telling you about our event that we have planned. And this is Allison, as well as Anne. We are from the Hope Active Response Table, HART for short. And we are a subcommittee that is involved in putting on an event this October. So, two things. The first being, I'm very happy that I'm actually on time for this meeting, because I don't know if you saw the look of fear as I came into the room, thinking you were halfway through. But yes, so that aside, I'll carry on here. So I think, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Erickson, you are part of the HART table, so I know you're familiar with our mandate, and John as well, the Chief Administrative Officer. And so, but for those of you who might not be as familiar as to what we do there, we are a table that's comprised of community stakeholders. Examples of that would be the Hope Area Transition Society, Fraser Health, RCMP, Fire, council members, and Toronto First Nations, and Hard Housing, Employment BC, the school district, and a number of other community organizers, stakeholders as well. So, and we come together to discuss challenging social issues, those of substance use, those of homelessness, persons being underhoused, mental health issues, and all that comes with that in terms of poverty that we see. And you know, that's what every community is dealing with these days, unfortunately more so than maybe years before. So Allison and Anne and I are part of the subcommittee that's responsible for education and awareness for our community. And some of the examples of that would be harm reduction, theories around harm reduction services, our opioid crisis, and I think Allison has spoken to that previously at a council meeting, and also community resource awareness, particularly around our social service resources here. So we have been involved in developing an event, and we do have a few objectives that we're hoping to bring to you today in regards to that. And one of the objectives in regards to the event is highlighting the resources in our community and the benefits of knowing those social resources that we have. I think many of us, if you haven't needed to navigate those services or come in contact to use those services, you might actually not even know where they are here in our very small community. So getting to know that, and also having a theory around every door, or every door is the right door. And I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that idea, that theory, that when you do show up and you're looking for services in a particular location, they may not be the ones to provide you those services, but they will be able to tell you where you can go to access those services. So I think that's one of the benefits that we have in regards to planning this event. The other is recognizing the challenges of leaving homelessness behind and how difficult that can be for people and the day-to-day obstacles that are in their way. And I don't know if many of you or if any of you have lost your ID in the past. I'm hoping I'm not giving away too much here, but if you have had that experience, you probably know how frustrating it can be to go through all those services to get your ID back. Now imagine doing that without a home, with mental health issues on board, perhaps paranoia, not being able to be in social situations, with maybe substance use issues too, where the person's going through withdrawal, having dope illness as we call it often. So that becomes much, much more difficult. And then on top of that, as I've heard people say before, in doing outreach services and talking to people who have been through being homeless, is the negative stigma that they often experience in communities. And now that's not everybody. I'm not laying blame on everybody here, but often that is something that they have to deal with as well. So their motivation factor can get less and less and less as time goes on. Did you want to come in?
Oh, just the no phone and no credit card and all the other challenges, of course, that people experience
no
in doing that.
finances, because there is costs associated with that. So the event that we're planning is going to happen on October the 18th, on Friday. It is from 2 to 6 p.m. Now, we decided on a Friday specifically because we know a lot of people have things going on the weekend, and they're not necessarily open to giving that free time up. But the other reason we wanted to do it at this time is because I think it's a real great opportunity for businesses, for organizations in our community to take part. And I'm really hoping that we can convince some of those businesses to maybe let some of their employees take part in this, because I think there's absolute benefits in doing so in terms of that every door is an open door policy that we were talking about. So in this, what we will have is a number of scenarios where people will start. They will register between 2 and 4 at the Memorial Park. We'll have a table set up there. And depending on what the time frame that they have, we'll either give them a longer scenario in terms of getting through, navigating through, or we'll give them a bit of a shorter scenario. And in that scenario, they're going to find themselves walking to different agencies, social services within the community itself. And they're going to find some bumps and obstacles along the way. We've developed these scenarios, Allison and others have developed these scenarios, and we've developed them with people who have lived experience. They've shared their honest input with us as to what their biggest obstacles have been. We don't want this to be a walk in the park, as the poster says. This is not a walk in the park. And I hope that some people will experience some frustration along the way, because that's what we want people to experience, is that reality. So, and then we will convene between 5 and 6 p.m. at the food bank, which again, I think is an appropriate place to convene our event. And there, we're going to do another little challenge that a couple of our organizers have planned as well. But it's also going to be an opportunity to debrief and get a sense of how people experienced the event. What were their thoughts? What's the feedback? And I'm really hoping that we can get a sense, get the ball rolling here in terms of other things that, as part of the Education and Awareness Subcommittee, that we can take on and use, and that will benefit the community. So, as I said earlier, we just really hope people experience realizing how difficult it can be to access services, not only considering the bureaucratic tape, but everything else that I've mentioned as well. Now, what I was hoping here, and this event is open to everybody, it is free, and we're really hoping too that it's open to all age groups. So we are looking at getting our social justice class from the high school, and our leadership students involved in terms of volunteering and some participation as well. And so we're hoping for that. And then we're really looking to you in terms of endorsement. You're people who know people. And so we're hoping that you can spread the word and encourage people to participate. And we're also wondering if there's any feedback, any concerns, any questions that you might have at this time in terms of going forward, because we still have a month ahead of us. Although I'm in a little bit of panic mode. But it will be. So, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to add also that this is also a great opportunity for those who might be willing to learn about our community resources and systems so that we can help people that we encounter out in the world as well, to help them navigate the community, to tell them who to see and where to go for help and assistance. Yeah, and to really support that sense of inclusion and community that we know is what it takes to better our population that are struggling or struggling. That's my 2 cents, Lee.
You'll notice too on the poster we have donations, mitts, gloves, hats. People are maybe not able to participate in the event itself if they're willing to drop by those things. What I've done, and I'm sure Allison has in our workplaces and in other workplaces, is it's an opportunity that if people are coming in and engaging with us, from myself, harm reduction supplies for yours as well, and counseling, that if they're in need of those items, we can provide those items in different locations too. So, thank you very much. Any questions, concerns?
Thank you, Laura. Before I turn it over to council, see if there are any questions. Thank you for your presentation. I was asked the other day, and do you know how often Service Canada comes to our community? Are they still coming? They were coming
Monthly.
one Wednesday a month?
That's right.
That's still the same?
At Rewrite
All right.
Society, yeah.
That's an important one for pensions and some of the older people that are
Absolutely.
needing some assistance. So that's good to hear. At least once a month is better than nothing. They're coming, staff's coming out of the Chilliwack office.
Yes.
That's where they're from?
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council?
I just have one comment. Thank you, Lee, for presenting this. If I would be here that day, I would be taking part, but I will be in Nairobi, Kenya, that time on a mission trip, working with women that have been really abused. So I'm sorry I can't be here, but I would love to participate. I was raised very, very poor, like we've been talking about, and I'm very sympathetic to these people. I'd really like to go through the program. I wish it was a Friday before, and I'd go through it.
Hopefully there'll be others.
Yeah, definitely others, and also pass on the word. If you can't come, then perhaps there's other people that you know that can attend.
How many people per team or per?
Well, we're looking at that now. Depends on how many participants we have. I'm really hoping for
like an ideal
50-ish,
four per team kind of thing?
something like that, maybe even 2 to 3,
Yeah.
depending on the scenario.
Depending on numbers, yeah.
Oh, we need no help, I can get it.
So can I just have another, so I know you don't want to spill the beans too much, but does the person actually go through a lot of different scenarios as a poor person? Is that what you're saying? Or as one that doesn't have anything or lost everything? Is that what you're trying to?
We have some scenarios that we developed based on input, as I mentioned earlier, where they will be different in nature, but as I said, I don't want to give away too much, but as I said, really get a sense of how it is to navigate through those different services and what where they may be able to receive help, where they may not be able to receive help, who's closed on that day, who's open, who's full,
How to
who's not full.
Yeah, how to maintain your cool when one person is sending you here and that person is sending you back here, etc. You know, we've all gotten the runaround before, but these folks tend to experience it a fair bit.
The HEART program is very important to our community, and it sets a good example for other communities. I know they've copied our model, and It's very exciting for us, so I appreciate all you do on that. And it's, you need to get your word out there somehow a little better, and we'll help you where we can, but, yeah, there's a lot of good work being done.
We're addressing the chamber as well next week, and, yeah, any opportunity we have, I think we'll just try to get the word out as much as possible, so.
Any other questions, council? Thank you for your participation and your the work you're doing in our community. Over to staff reports, the first one being the fire department paid on call rates policy. This is a housekeeping. Do you want to speak to that, Mr. Forlowski?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this was an administrative oversight that we found, really unfortunate. And you'll see the correction in red for the deputy chief with the standby hours being rated at 200 vice 100. This change is anticipated in the financial plan, as was the other change to the policy. So we're looking for council's approval to make sure that this wording is absolutely correct and ready to move forward.
So just a quick correction there. So the motion would read that the fire department paid on call rates policy amendment be adopted this 9th day of September 2019. Moved. Second, any discussion about the change there that was missed? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 5B, please.
This was considered at the last council meeting as a committee of the whole. So for council, in order to endorse the reports, it should be done at a regular council meeting. So we're just asking that mayor and council receive the District of Hope Lower Coquihalla River Flood Assessment Hazard Assessment Report and the District of Hope Lower Coquihalla River 2019 Gravel Deposition assessment as presented at the August 26th committee of the whole.
Okay, moved. Second, any discussion? Vote for carry. All those in favor? I'm rushing the system here. Opposed? Carried. Item C, the report from Director of Corporate Services read the Cascade Lower Canyon Community Forest grant applications. And do you want to speak to it at all? I want to continue on here.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this was discussed and generally agreed as far as the way ahead in the committee of the whole format. It needs to be then now moved to a regular council for your official decision and endorsement of what was recommended by the committee of the whole to council.
Thank you, Mr. Forlowski, and I will read the motion, and then I'm going to read the amounts for each category. I won't go into each category, what they were asking for. I'll read the final numbers that were approved by this council. So that's on public record, and that's the Council of the District of Hope has considered all submissions to the Cascade Lower Canyon Community Forest grant for the distribution of $100,000. And further, the council renders decisions on the CLCCF grant applications as follows. Advantage Hope, 0 funding. Hope Scouts, $3,128.14. Libby Kirkland, who applied for the dog park, $3,500. The Hope Food Collection Society Community at Large, 0. Hope and Area Healthy Communities Heritage Culture, 0. The Hope Curling Club, $25,000. The Hope Center for Outdoor Learning, $3,298. Hope Mountain Black Bear Committee, $2,200. The Hope and District Chamber of Commerce, $8,418, and squeezed 4 cents in there as well. Purple Lights, $5,000. Hope Brigade Days, 0. Hope Inclusion Project, 0. Hope Community Services, $3,000. Hope Association for Community Living, which is known as Telecom, $7,000. The Mount Hope Senior Citizens Housing Society, which is Park Street Manor, $26,884.82. Nothing at this time for the Hope Arts and Districts Arts Council. Hope Care Transit, $3,334. Fraser Valley Bikers Association, $8,687. School District Parent Advisory Committee, 0, and $550, the Hope Communities in Blue. If I got those numbers correct, Council?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, thank you.
Good question.
Let's get a second here, I'll second it first, and then we'll...
No.
Okay, you don't have to. Counselor Tron will help me out here. Now you can speak to it.
Just, my simple question is, since I had to step out for one of the items, how does the vote work? Same with Councilor Smith. Because now we're talking about the whole project.
Do we need to be away?
No.
Same with me.
Okay,
So
Councilor
we need
Keane.
to-
You're voting on the whole
Okay.
amount as a whole.
I just wanted clarification on that. Make sure we do things right.
Okay, that's good for the public to know as well. Any other questions?
I just want to comment.
Councilor Erickson?
I'm really thankful that we got $100,000 for this community. And as I look through all where the money's going, they're very needed areas. Mount Hope Senior Citizen Housing Society, that is needed so badly. The curling rink needed so badly. All of them, I'm so thankful that we were able to do this for our community.
Good point. Thanks for bringing that up. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There are no committee reports tonight. We'll move on to mayor and council reports. A brief one for me this time. I attended the government-to-government reconciliation letter of understanding signing ceremony between Canada and the Teak tribe, which includes our 7 local Indigenous communities around us, for a major signing. And Minister Bennett was there from Ottawa, and it was a very interesting ceremony. Enjoyed the lunch we had and shared with everybody there. Brigade Days weekend, wow, I don't know what you can say about our volunteers in our community. Once again, another successful weekend put on by groups of volunteers that came together for the common goal for the Brigade Days. And the comments I got from locals, visitors, another successful full year. And it just amazes me how we can rely on so many volunteers and they deliver every time. And thank you to Peter Mansbridge and his crew for visiting our community. The documentary, he spent a lot of time in our community. He arrived on Thursday with his film crew. We toured him around and took him to different areas in the community. He even went up Thacker and looked over the golf course side of things and photographed. And, they might have even gone up Lookout. They were thinking about it until they found out how tough that was, so I'm not sure about that. And they interviewed over 50 people that came and sat down with him at Brigade Days, and they will narrow it down, and those people will be notified by email. And looking at the documentary will be late October before it's aired. And he was a very interesting man to talk to. I'm glad he came to our community. Saturday, I attended the Grand Chief Elevation Ceremony at Chihuahua. Chief Peters was the host along with the Stalo Nation. They recognized, they raised the first chief to Grand Chief female. Very important time in their community, and it's the first, this is the first female chief. So it was another interesting ceremony. I spent time with the mayor of Chilliwack there and the other councilors from around our area. And the last thing I'd like to bring up for council to consider is I'd like to suggest to council a policy change to our committee of the whole to allow public questions relative to the agenda at the end of our committee of the whole meetings. It gives an opportunity for them to give some input before it comes to council and we make our final decision. And we haven't done that in the past, and I'd like council to consider it, and if you're up for it tonight, I put a motion forward and direct staff to come back with us on a policy. Or someone could make that on my behalf. And
That might save us time, actually.
do that? All right. You want to move that?
I don't know.
Okay. Second, thank you. That, do we need further clarification on that? Thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I think it's a little more transparent for some of our visitors that come into the council chamber and want to have some input before we take it to the next step. That's all I've got to report tonight. Councillor Tron.
Thank you.
I have to fix that.
I'm sure I will echo what a lot of the other councillors will have their input on brigades as well, but I did my best part to take part in as much brigade days as possible. I participated in the ball tournament. There were 28 teams in total, and Dan actually cut them off at 28 teams. So each year is building and building. I think helping Dan set up, that's probably our max capacity for fields we have in this town. The whole weekend, a great way to showcase the town of Hope. I took time we were fortunate enough to play out-of-town teams that we came, and they had nothing but great things to say about the event in total, and they're all looking forward to coming back next year. I know how much work goes into hosting such a big event. I just wanted to thank everybody involved and all the committees, and like I said, looking forward to next year, hopefully building on a great event.
Thank you, Councilor Toronto. Yeah, there was a lot of good ball played. Councilor Stewart.
So on August 27th, I also attended the signing of the Letter of Understanding, the Teat Tribe, and Minister Bennett. And it was quite an event. I'm really pleased to have been able to be there to witness and to enjoy being around people. It was just a really uplifting event, so thank you for the invite. On September the 4th, I attended Purple Lights meeting, so we're gearing up to the kickoff on October the 1st. It'll be at 6 p.m. in Memorial Park. And so Purple Lights is about bringing awareness to issues of domestic violence and getting resources out there, sharing stories, bringing people together. And so we're going to do that on October the 1st. The awareness campaign lasts the entire month of October, so there will be opportunities for hot dog sales. There's a thing going on where we're going to decorate the town with purple lights, as you know from the grant. And so what they'll do is they'll go around to the various businesses, like a lot of the businesses, and offer to provide the lights for them so that we can have the purple lights lit up everywhere possible. And so I've been asked to bring forward a question if council would be interested in putting some purple lights up on the town hall. I don't need an answer tonight, but if anyone would like to consider that, we would be very happy if the purple lights were presented down the street. And so any questions about purple lights, you can direct them to Marianne Bucher. And yeah, so we're going to kick that off October 1st. And then on September the 5th, I attended a ratepayers meeting and good attendance, great meeting. And they're excited about all the events that they've been seeing around the community, specifically the work done on Park Street, and they gave a shout out to the construction there and how good it is and how well it was done. And that's everything.
Thank you, Councilor Stewart. Councilor Smith.
I also attended the First Nations signing, and it was an excellent event. Good fellowship and everything else there. The Hope Communities in Bloom, we had a float in the Brigade Days Parade for the first time ever, thanks to Gord Emery and Rasmus Chavot for putting it together. And we won the Best Vehicle Award, but we did have a chainsaw carving in there, so I think that helped. Also, the District of Hope and Communities in Bloom received a presentation scripture from the BC Legislature Assembly for Jackie Taggart, reading in the House about the 70th anniversary of the Hope Princeton Highway. In 1949, they sang God Save the King, because before it was before Queen Elizabeth. The contract for building the highway was left to J. Thompson and Son on the Princeton side and Liam Landis Construction on the Hope side. The cost of this project was $12 million in a day. 6,000 people attended the opening and changed the connection for the east of Hope forever. A copy of the standing order of 25B of the House will be posted on Communities in Bloom Facebook page, and the district also has a copy in hand. Brigade Days. A lot of hours were spent at meeting and people coming together to support their business in this community. Thanks to Lori and the team put together, but also thanks to Councillor Medlock and Councillor Dusty Smith for their part in the Hope Motorsports Group, and Councillor Tron for his part in baseball. At one time, baseball here in town was just about at zero, so we've come a long ways back. Also met with Luke Adrian. He's the new manager for Rona Store and Hope here. Luke has a lot of years in the lumberyard business and look forward to meeting the people in the community. Friday, September the 6th was the last day for the 3rd Avenue and Wallace Farmer Market, which was a combination of the Hope and District Chamber of Commerce and District of Hope event. It brought new people together for a larger market, it was both good for the vendors and the business. It now moves to 6th Avenue and will be reviewed for next year as to what, how it will be done. Met with Councillor Pat Cochran, he's from Coldstream, BC, who is in the Okanagan Library Board. We toured the library and discussed about different things that they do in their library board with Deb Ireland and staff, because there's always something new when you're looking over the fence. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. How are you? Tired from the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But today was good, very refreshed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brigades was fantastic. I take part in the motorsports, of course, and that puts me into the Demo Derby area for almost the entire weekend. I don't get a chance to get out and see the parade or any of those other things, but I've been glad for social media in that regard that people post a lot of that stuff on there, so I get a chance to take a look at what's been going on. And nothing but positive comments. It was a really good year. Everything that happened seemed to be top notch. So yeah, just kudos again to that group. It's a very small group of volunteers that meets, at first they meet every 2 weeks throughout the year, and then they start meeting weekly, trying to hammer out the details, and it's an overwhelming amount of things that have to take place. People don't really realize, and walking around the event, you see all this stuff happen. Well, it all took a lot of careful planning and consideration and expense to make happen. So I'm glad that it was well attended, and hopefully when the numbers all juggle, they can put some more in the bank to make next year even better, right? I just wanted to mention that this is the last council meeting we have before coming back from EBCM. We've got that special meeting. But I'm happy to hear that every one of us is going down to EBCM. I think it's an excellent opportunity to learn and bring back some things to our community that we hear from what's going on in other communities. Plus we have opportunity to meet with ministers. I know we're waiting on finalizing of those details. Being so busy Brigade days, I didn't get to see Peter Mansbridge, but I saw on our agenda there he's the keynote address speaker at the opening session of EBCM, so that's interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up in 2 weeks, I suppose. Wow, 2 weeks, yeah. So that's all I have to report.
How much fun was it co-piloting your son in the car?
First time for my son to get involved in motorsports.
Yeah.
And
Good for
yeah,
you.
he had a blast, and so did I.
Councillor Erickson.
Okay, so I attended a Tillicum meeting. It's a parent advisory committee. They're trying to find some way of having some residence built for their children. There's about 25. The parents are aging out, and it's really getting difficult to look after them. Now they're not complaining, but they just say it's getting difficult, and they would like to have a home for their children and where they could stay and the children could be more independent. So they're working on that, and they're moving forward. They've been doing it for about a year, but they're moving forward every month we meet. Seeing we're getting closer and closer to getting financing and getting some drawings done. And so it's, I thought it was really good. Also, I toured Riverside Manor. It's the first time I've actually went inside and I toured it. It's a beautiful facility. Our community should be pretty proud of what they're doing for these residents. The manager was there, took us through, and just, I was pretty proud that we have something like that in this community that really looks after these people. And the facility is a fairly good quality facility, and it just makes me more determined than ever to try and help out the Hope Senior Citizen community on Park Street, where we could get something a little better quality there. Also, I participated in the Brady Trade Parade, setting up and tearing down. It was quite a successful this year again. I think the building was basically, I think there was one place open that we didn't fill up, but we even put some in the middle this year. And everybody seemed to be quite happy with the results. Thanks to Hank Mulder, he heard the press, he did all the work. And John here, he helped. But it was quite a group, ratepayers helped also. I also attended the First Nations signing with the letter of understanding, and I thought it was really interesting what's happening there. I also attended the ratepayers meeting. Again, we heard comments that they're pretty satisfied with what's happening in 3rd Avenue and Park Street. I was very happy to see what's going on there. I'm really proud of what the town has done. It's really improved that whole area now. It's really, really, really nice. So thank you to Kevin and his team are working hard on that. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, before I move on, Councillor Exton, could you give council any kind of an update on what's happening with the Christmas light program in the chamber? Or
Yeah.
the exit signs and entrance signs to the community?
Okay, I can tell you about the exits. I can tell you the exit and entrance signs. The exit signs are coming this week or next week. Hank's been just floored out, and I have to go. I've been going this summer with my own personal stuff, so I haven't been able to clear. So John and myself and George Rice are gonna go clear the property in the next week or two, and then we're gonna put up the signs on the far end. We haven't been able to get any funding for the sign on the going east, but coming west, we've got funding for the coming
Sorry, coming west at what exit?
170 exit. We don't have anybody signed up for signs up there,
Okay.
for commercial
It's
signs.
probably a good time of year to do it,
But-
things
but
are
the-
slowing down.
But the east, coming east, we have people, and Hank is going to be making them this week, the signs. So that's what that, now as far as the lighting, I think it's coming in October, end of September, the lights come in, like they did here, the new lights.
Okay.
Because they ordered all new lights for above streaming lights.
Right.
And, yeah, I think the last meeting we had was end of September, beginning of October, they will be here. And then we gotta decide how we're gonna put it.
Yeah, I
There's
just
gonna be-
restrung or
There's
whatever.
gonna be a lot of work talking about restringing and all.
I just hope someone from chamber or yourself or someone will coordinate and speak with Public Works to make sure you're
Okay.
coordinating it to get it up in plenty of
I'll
time.
talk to Stephen tomorrow.
Because I know they'd like to have them lit for November 30th, I believe, for the start of the program, so good to,
Okay, I'll talk to Stephen tomorrow.
yeah, appreciate that.
That's a question, dude.
Sure.
So the sign that's coming eastbound, that's the one,
Way off the side, the green sign.
yeah, it says, welcome to Hope, right? So that's
It's all
the one
bushed in.
you covered, yeah.
Yes.
Trees grow in front of it, those fast growing trees. So that's gonna be recovered with a new,
We're trying to get advertisers on that, so.
oh, okay, business advertising.
Business advertising.
Is the design all on brand
It will be.
with the correct palette of colors?
I think what's happening is there's going to be, on the top, the way we've noticed, we've written down is, there's gonna be signs like, hospital, police, all that on the top of the pole board. And then there's 4 advertisers we got right now that we're gonna put up on the westbound side. That's out, Cook House. Yeah. And then the eastbound, I haven't done anything yet, we haven't been able to get any advertisers so far. But Hank has been, like, he said he's been just floored this summer trying to get his work done. And so he's still gonna work now, as soon as things start calming down, to try and get advertising on the westbound, or the eastbound.
Yeah, all those type of items, I like to see that we get ready before the May long weekend for next year, all those types of things.
So it's the one on the
For the
3 flags
season
that's getting done first?
Yes.
Okay, good, that's the one that needs work.
That's right, it's really bad, but you can hardly see it now, again, the trees are growing up so fast. It's a big job, it's gonna take 3 of us guys, I think, a couple days working, because there's a lot of work. The
Yeah.
sign's deteriorating, the anchors have actually rusted out, so we have to put different cables up, or patch the cables of some sort. But we'll get it done, it's just a matter of
All
time.
right, thanks.
My problem is, we're gonna be gone for the next 2 weeks, there's 1 week for for UBCL, 1 week I'm gone, and I come back for 2 weeks, then I'm gone on a mission trip for 2 more weeks. So I've gotta try and get it in that time frame.
Thank you for the
But I'm
update.
kind of in charge of the signage.
Okay, I'll communicate through you then, thank you. Moving on to permits and bylaws, and turn it over to Ms. Bellingham for a moment, please.
Okay, we just need revising and reporting for committee of the whole. So the first bylaw is fees and charges amendment bylaw number 1461, 2019, be read a first, second, and third time, this 9th day of September 2019.
Need a mover and a seconder?
Move for discussion.
Okay, move and second. Councilor Medlock?
So, first, second, and third reading tonight, assuming adoption September 30th, is there an opportunity at that time to see some changes made based on the feedback from the committee of the whole meeting?
No, what would it wouldn't be in time for the rates to take effect for the October 1st then.
Right. Because this is our only opportunity to make a change before putting it forward for first, second, third reading.
Yes.
Or, Mr. Mayor, you can choose not to, and we'll bring it back before the new year with council suggested or endorsed changes. But of course, we'll be risking the difference in commercial rates from October 1st.
I understand the time crunch, but at this point, I'm not comfortable, based on what I talked about maybe the whole meeting, with the roll-off bins being listed in there and the large increase in the per ton rate. Those two things, the other things were taken care of. So I would, don't have any information for me to propose any other rates, so unfortunately I'm going to be going against.
Okay, you want to speak to this?
I'm with Scott, I will do it.
Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? It's defeated.
We'll bring it back.
The second bylaw, the motion will read that that District of Hope 2020 to 2024 permissive tax exemption bylaw number 1462, 2019, be read a first, second, and third time this 9th day of September 2019.
I'll move for second, third reading.
I'll second it by you.
Second, and discussion, of course. Councillor Erickson?
So the same goes with this one, if, does it have to be passed by the end of the month? By the 30th? Because I would like to see some investigation regarding, item,
Item N.
yeah.
There isn't quite the time crunch on this, Mr. Mayor. So if council's wish is that we get further information specifically in regards to item N, we can do so.
I think it's N as in mother.
N is in November.
I'm saying N as in mother.
Oh, it is N is in mother, you're correct. Mother, yeah.
400 Park Street.
Yes, that's right.
What's your part of the golf courses?
Well, I'm fine with that if the rest of you guys are, but I just want to bring it up, make sure that everybody's aware that it's,
Oh, you're done with double dipping?
yeah, the double dipping on Park Street one. But the golf course one that I was concerned about is making sure that everybody knew that it's a corporation running golf course now. And they get money from the greens.
Yeah.
So that's what I was concerned about.
All right, any more discussion on this before I call a question? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The third bylaw, the motion would read that District of Hope 2015 to 2024 permissive tax exemption amendment bylaw number 1463, 2019 be read a first, second, and third time this 9th day of September.
Moved. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Bellingham. Now we move to correspondence. The accounts payable checklisting for August 2019 to be received. Moved. Second. Councillor Erickson?
So I have a couple of questions on this. Just gonna go through here. What is the Empyrean, page 1, Empyrean Technologies? Is that an annual contract that we have? Is it an annual contract?
They are providers. I can confirm if it's an annual contract.
Or do
I'll
you
send you
just-
that information.
Okay, is it, or is it just a monthly or as needed contract? That's what I need to.
I'll get you that information, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and another thing, Valley Waste and Recycling. In this listing, we have 117,000 and 130 some thousand and 900 and some dollars fees. Is that for several months, or what's happening there? Because it just looks like it's hard
I
to.
will get you that information, Mr. Mayor, for council.
Hard to tell that. And another one is Roper Graywell LLP. Is that legal services?
It is?
And do you know what it was for? Or what we did, or that's in camera?
I will, I'll get you that information.
Okay, so we
It may
have,
well be in a closed forum,
okay,
depending on where it is.
okay, sounds good.
questions there? All those in favor? Those carried. For information correspondence, that for the information correspondence dated September 9th be received. Thank you. Moved, second. Any discussion, any questions about correspondence? All those in favor? Those carried. There's no other pertinent business. Now I go to question period. Call for questions from the public for items relevant to the agenda. Any questions from, no questions? Notice of the next meeting will be a special council meeting for Monday, September the 30th, 6:30 here in council chambers. At this time,
And the one for Tuesday, October 15th, should read 7 PM for the regular meeting.
7 PM, okay, which is on Tuesday, October 15th at 7. Unless the acting mayor wants to change that. 7's good, all right. Okay, resolution to proceed to closed meeting, that the meeting be closed to consider matters pursuant to 91C, labor relations or other employee relations, and for the purpose of receiving and adopting closed meeting minutes. So this next portion is moved. Second, we don't need that, I guess, but we're closed to the public. Thank you.